Hey everyone, welcome back to the Alberta Roundup. I'm your host, Rachel Emmanuel. We have some great stories for you guys today. Unless you live under a rock, you likely know that Tucker Carlson was in Alberta for 2 events this week. I saw some of you guys there. I was privileged enough to be able to introduce the Premier at his event in Edmonton on Wednesday evening. And of course, the left is melting down that he was here and at Alberta Premier Danielle Smith's involvement in the event. And you guys might have heard that there was a shooter in Edmonton City Hall this week. All that and more happening now on the Alberta Roundup. Taking a look at our first story here, American journalist and pundit Tucker Carlson was in Alberta this week for 2 events, one in Calgary and one in Edmonton. He was joined by Conrad Black, Jordan Peterson, and of course, Premier Smith. Tucker Carlson warned that federal policies like safe supply and assisted suicide are destroying Canadian society, as is mass migration, as he pointed to the long wait times at hospitals and the lack of housing we have in the country for everyone coming here and the people already here. Take a listen to some of his comments now.
This is a destruction of you and your culture and your beliefs and your children and your future as a country.
Premier Smith was at both those events, and at the event in Calgary, she promised to double Alberta's gas and oil production. The Premier said Alberta will bring in new baseload natural gas power this year, which she said will stabilize the power grid, which we all know has been having some issues, to say the least. The Premier said, quote, "So I think we should just double down and decide we're going to double our oil and gas production. Where else does America want to get its oil from? Do you want to get it from Iran? Do you want to get it from Venezuela? Or do you want to get it from safe Canada? I think that we can do a lot to make sure that the Americans know that we are here to provide energy security. We are a great friend, great ally, great neighbor. And we just need to get the political leadership to realize that we are a friend." The Premier opened the panel by telling the audience and the media that just because she's on the panel doesn't mean she agrees with everything the other panelists have said. The Premier was hammered for sitting side by side with the infamous Tucker Carlson at a media conference the next day. Take a listen.
I do want to ask about your attendance at both of Tucker Carlson's events yesterday. This is somebody who has been accused of defending white supremacy, spreading misinformation about the war in Ukraine, as well as making disparaging remarks about women. So why did you believe that this is someone that you should be giving time and attention to?
Well, I take a wide range of media requests. I'm told by my staff, 96 individual media events or interviews since I got reelected, 24 press conferences. And I don't do a screening test to make sure that every person that interviews me matches 100% of what I believe. And I don't expect that that would be an appropriate thing to do. So I take a wide range of interviews from CBC all the way through to alternative media, because my job is to get our message out about Alberta. And I told everyone that I wanted to make sure that somebody who has a very loud voice in America knew that we were a partner in being able to provide energy security and energy affordability. And I got that message out.
In one of the best moments of the event, Premier Smith told Tucker Carlson she's trying to get federal Environment Minister Steven Guilbeault fired, and asked Carlson to put the minister in his crosshairs. The next day, Guilbeault said he was targeted by the Tucker Carlson event and claimed he is the victim of political violence.
I mean, this goes beyond me and the fact that I was targeted last night at this event. This increases political violence against everyone who runs for office in this country.
While Federal Transport Minister Pablo Rodriguez claimed the event was an example of, quote, extreme right, end quote, infiltrating Canada. Federal ministers weren't the only ones dismayed at Tucker Carlson's appearances in Alberta. There was also many pundits who melted down online. David Frum expressed his disappointment on X, saying, quote, "The thing that's so sad is that I thought Canada had passed the point where Canadians had to make do with cancelled US programming, as if it were fresh and new." Former federal Environment Minister Catherine McKenna also weighed in, saying, quote, "Appalling. Danielle Smith encouraging American right-wing rage farmer with a massive base to attack a Canadian politician. Un-Canadian and dangerous." And of course, Alberta NDP leader Rachel Emmanuel, who announced last week that she's going to quit once a new leader is elected, also weighed in. Emmanuel said Danielle Smith, quote, sat across from a man moments after he promoted white supremacy and disparaged immigrants. In a lengthy post on X, Notley also said, quote, "The Alberta NDP strongly condemns everything Tucker Carlson stands for, and we stand strong against such division and hate. We will never stop fighting for what's just and continue working tirelessly towards a future where every Albertan lives the genuine experience of their inherent value." And finally, in news that will shock you all, it appears that Prime Minister Justin Trudeau made an appearance at the Tucker Carlson event, and he might even be a fan. Let's roll that clip for you. Of course, that was the Prime Minister at a women's hockey game the day after the federal court ruled that his invocation of the Emergencies Act to quell freedom protesters was unreasonable. I've never seen anyone clap like that in my life. I think we should all be asking some questions about what is going on with Justin Trudeau to make him act in such a bizarre manner. Moving into our next story here, I guess I could label this the controversy of the week, but that label seems a little light for the material. There was an active shooter at Edmonton City Hall this week. Early Tuesday mornings, shots ran out and a Molotov cocktail was thrown inside the building, leading to its immediate evacuation. Edmonton Police Services posted on X that they were investigating around 11 a.m. And during the incident, Edmonton City councillors were inside a scheduled meeting of the Emergency Advisory Committee, and loud gunshots can be heard in a recording of the video. We're going to play that for you now.
Risks as well that we need to continue to work on.
Okay. So let's have that conversation, right? And
yeah, absolutely.
We'll follow up on it offline.
Pretty frightening stuff. The building was evacuated, as I said, and no one was harmed during the incident. The man the police allege is responsible for Tuesday's shooting said in a video just before the incident that he was, quote, "just tired of seeing the tyranny and corruption taking over our society and our lives." In a 4-minute video posted to X, Rebel News journalist and good friend of the show, Adam Seuss, identifies a man as Bizani Savar. In the video, the man takes aim at wokeism, the housing crisis, multiculturalism, and what he describes as the genocide in Gaza. In the video, he says, quote, "Brothers and sisters, before I do my mission, I want you all to know that I am not a psychopath. I do not believe in bloodshed. I am not one of these monsters that hurt children, that hurt innocents, and that promote wars all around the civilization of our society." The video has not been officially linked to the alleged shooter, but the man in the video is wearing the same security uniform as the man discharging the gun in City Hall. Edmonton police confirmed that Savar is facing 7 charges, including reckless discharge of a firearm into a place, knowingly possessing unauthorized firearm, throwing explosive substances, arson to property, possession of incendiary material, use of a firearm while committing offense, and careless use of a firearm. Moving into what we're watching in the weeks to come. The Canadian Security Intelligence Service, most commonly known as CSIS, is warning Alberta that it has become a very attractive target for foreign entities to exert their influence due to the province's economy, resources, and large number of ethnic communities. CSIS shared its findings at a presentation in Edmonton. There were several political parties present, as well as officials from Elections Alberta, and those documents have been obtained through an access to information request filed by Post Media. The presentation said that foreign entities use, quote, clandestine or coercive, end quote, activities to influence Canadian society to their benefit. CSIS found that Alberta is the most sought-after place to enact these activities because of its, quote, resource-rich and high-tech economy. The documents read, quote, "Canada and specifically Alberta are very attractive to many hostile foreign states due to our resource-rich and developed high-tech economy, geostrategic interest, particularly with respect to energy production and the Arctic, and presence of large diaspora communities." Alberta Premier Danielle Smith's press secretary acknowledged that the Alberta government is aware of foreign influence and particularly concerned about officials traveling abroad. In a statement, the press secretary said, quote, "We take regular steps to interact with the appropriate agencies to ensure our staff are educated on the tactics and methods used by foreign influencers." And finally, moving into our weekly comment roundup, I'm sorry I missed it last week. There was just so much material, and I know you guys like it when I keep my shows short, so I just removed it from the episode last week, but I'm going to dive into some of your comments now. User Rick Saby says, "Alberta may never recover from the NDP ideologues. The damage they caused almost cost people severely." That is true, and I would argue with the high electricity bills that we're seeing, it has in fact damaged people severely and will continue to do so until maybe we see some more baseload power or something like that. User JR said, wow, that is fantastic news. Rachel Emmanuel is absolutely the best journalist in Canada right now. That is such a generous comment. I don't agree that I'm the best journalist in Canada, especially right now while I haven't been doing too much as I'm on mat leave. But I do have a lot of respect for my colleagues. I just want to give a quick shout out to Andrew Lawton. He's, of course, a fan favorite. And Cosmin Georgia, he is doing the Daily Brief right now. And honestly, he's one of the best researchers in Canada. So definitely check out their work if you aren't already familiar with them. And finally, moving into our last comment here. User at Mama Bear and 2 Cubs said, great news, Rachel. Looking forward to seeing your show twice a week. And of course, that was just in response to the news that my show is going to be going up to twice a week beginning in February. For those of you who didn't see last week's episode, we're going to be doing 1 episode midweek that will be an interview and then the regular show on Saturday. So if there's any particular subjects you would like me to interview, please let me know in the comments below and I'll do my best to schedule them in the coming weeks. Okay, guys, that's all I have time for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, if you're able to support our work, you can do that over at donate.tnc.news. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'll see you guys next week. God bless.